Hello out there, everybody. Manny here at Area 503. And I hope you all have been well since our last video. Today, I want to tell you guys a story, and it ends like this.
You have reached the FAA Air Traffic Security Coordinator. Be advised, all calls may be recorded or monitored.
Hey there. I'm wondering if we have the pilots we have at least 3 aircraft that reported this other aircraft or whatever it was. I wonder if we'd call them and have them give us some more information about what it is they saw, or do you want any of that stuff? Would that be helpful?
I think that would be very helpful.
Let's go back to the beginning.
Oakland 31, Seattle 13, AFRAC.
Oakland 31.
AFRAC November 155 Lima, level 43, so wrong way.
That's for do you know that target south of the boundary there, that 0027 code moving very fast at 37,000?
Oh, look at that thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Huh, and you don't have anything on him, huh?
I got nothing.
Well, look.
WestJet 1698.
No, the WestJet 1698 is he is at 370, and that dude is, 150 miles to the north of him. I'll flash to that data block. There you go. There's where WestJet is.
Okay, I see him up there. That's crazy. That's fast.
Yeah, all right, I'll report that.
Thanks, Senator.
Okay.
So there we have the Oakland Air Traffic Control, and they're handing off the UFO to the Seattle Air Traffic Control. The Oakland Air Traffic Control Center operator had this to say in a post-event phone interview.
And then, so our radar did pick up an intruder target coming in at a high speed right towards the southwest. The controller quoted.
But wasn't it going southbound though, not northbound?
Southbound, and then it did an abrupt maneuver and just took off northbound. So we're like, what? He was southbound. Yeah, we saw him. Now he's northbound.
Weird.
Yeah.
So when this UFO was first detected, it was flying south in the flight lane. But then it made an abrupt U-turn and started flying north. What? That's interesting. You don't hear of airplanes doing that.
Oakland 31 or 36.
Well,
This is Sector 36. We had a target come through our airspace going really fast at level 370 earlier, an intruder, mostly intruder, going southbound. And then now, apparently, the Southwest 4712 sees an aircraft off his right side about as 1 o'clock and 10 miles going northbound at 370. We don't have anything on radar anymore or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, I turned my primaries on.
And we don't see any primaries or anything either.
But I will. Okay. Yeah.
Just to let you know, and our supervisors are calling all the appropriate people. So.
And does he have any idea what kind of aircraft it is?
No, we've asked him, and he doesn't. He said it's about his 1 to 2 o'clock and 10 miles off his right side now. So.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe.
Southwest 4712, Seattle.
Center, good evening. Southwest 4712, flight level 380, and we're watching that unknown aircraft at 1 o'clock.
Southwest 4712, Seattle, Center, Roger, and can you estimate the altitude, please?
Best estimate is 370.
Thanks, sir. Southwest 4712, are you just visual, or is there any TCAS indication?
No negative tickets, it's just a visual.
Roger, just keep me advised.
Roger that.
So Southwest 4712 is reporting that they have a visual on the UFO and that it's headed north at about 37,000 feet, which should put the UFO right about here. Now this thing is not showing up on the TCAS or the Traffic Collision Avoidance System, and we still haven't seen the UFO show up on the primary radar yet.
Southwest 4712, can you estimate the distance?
Yeah, our estimation is now between 12 and 15 miles. Definitely further away than it was before. There's some clouds up there, so it's getting harder and harder to see it, but we still see the object there.
Southwest 4712, Roger. You said you're 1 to 2 o'clock right now?
Yep, affirmative, between 1 and 2 o'clock.
There he is. Check that thing out. It's an unknown radar ping at 37,000 feet. Wow, that thing is right in the middle of all of this commercial air traffic. It almost seems like it's trying to blend in with them, perhaps. And like that, poof, he's gone. I cannot explain to you why this thing would drop off of the radar suddenly. Unless this was some sort of stealth technology that had a minimal radar signature. That could be one possible explanation.
United 612, Seattle.
Good.
United 612, if you take a look out the right side, you're at 3 o'clock and maybe 5 to 10 miles for an airplane that may be northbound 370-ish.
Yeah, we got him. It's a white airplane. Yeah, about 10 miles away.
Yes, sir. Is he about a BMU overtaking?
Yeah, he's a beam us. It looks like he's slowly going a little bit away from us. He's a 350.
United 612, thank you. Keep a visual if you can. Let me know.
That's interesting. The pilot of United 612 described it as a white plane, not a UFO. But I suspect that's because the ATC asked him to look for a plane, because in his post-event interview, the pilot said this.
Right, about 3 to 2 o'clock, about 10 miles off our side, but really just a speck of an airplane. I mean, you could tell it was white, and it was above our altitude, and we're guessing like 4,000 to 5,000 feet. But that's about all I can really kind of tell you. I mean, that's all I know. I mean, he never came close enough for us to really get an IQ on him.
And from Southwest 4712, it's starting to get really hard to see it, so he's definitely moving away from us. And can the United crew tell what kind of airplane it is?
Southwest 4712, appreciate the report. Yeah, they do have visual now ahead of you, about 20 miles, and I'm trying to get some more information, but thanks, appreciate that.
Yeah, it's United 612. It's just a white speck out there. I mean, we can see it, but there's no identification on it, just that it's there.
United 612, can you estimate any altitude?
Yeah, it looks like he's probably about 4,000 or 5,000 feet above us.
Roger.
So the pilot of Southwest 4712 says that the UFO is pulling ahead of them, and this tells us that that object is moving faster than the passenger planes, which travel at about 450 miles per hour. And then United 612 reports that the object just looks like a white speck, and that they can see the UFO, but that it has no identifiers, and that they can only tell that something is there. Check out this clip of the post-event telephone interview with the pilot of Southwest 4712.
Seattle Center Operation.
This is Captain on 4712 Southwest flight.
Hey, I appreciate you giving me a call back.
Yeah, you bet, man.
So,
yeah, unusual night for you and for me. I've never, in all my years of flying jets, which is coming up on 30 years, I've never had anybody y'all weren't talking to.
yeah, really strange. We weren't painting them on radar or anything either. So,
did y'all have time to scramble anybody to go take a peek?
Yeah. Yep.
And can you share any of those details?
Well, the issue was that by the time we got there, you guys were already descending. So, now we don't know what we're looking for with the fighters, right? So, yeah, but we did, but we
they didn't see what we were looking at, because there was a United flight and a SkyWest flight that saw them too.
Right. Yep. And I've already talked to those pilots.
You know, and it's crazy because, you know, if it was like a Lear type airframe, probably would not have seen it this clear. This was a white airplane, and it was big, and it was moving at a clip too because you know, we were keeping pace with it. It was probably moving a little faster than we were, but we weren't converging with them, so it was kind of moving away. But man, we watched them.
So it was a larger aircraft then?
It was a larger aircraft, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say the closest we got when the control Oakland gave us the first call, he said, "Hey, I had somebody come up at 37,000 feet at your 1 o'clock and converging," and he goes, "But he's not on my radar anymore. You know, just can you take a look out there?" And we're like, "Yeah, we see him." He's like, "You see something?" And then that's when it kind of started. You know, we're not talking to him. We don't know who he is.
Right.
And then we watched him. I mean, from Northern California, Oakland Center, all the way till, you know, the descent. So we got probably a good 15 minutes or so.
So this pilot has over 30 years of experience, and he has never seen anything like this before. We also learned that a couple of jet fighters were scrambled at some point, but they found no trace of the UFO. And he also said that it was a large jet, not a small Lear jet, so I think that rules out the smuggler theory. However, we still can't rule out that this is some kind of secret stealth military technology, but I don't think that makes much sense, because I'm not sure why you would fly such military hardware in the middle of broad daylight in a heavily trafficked commercial area, unless you were testing either your detection capabilities such as the NORAD systems, or you wanted to see how people would react to spotting such an object. But I don't think they'd risk the exposure, honestly. And we can't discount the theory that this is a genuine UFO.
United 612, if you can update me on just a couple more things, if you still have that aircraft in sight, on the relative velocity to you and the position now.
It's still a beam, so he must be going about the exact same speed as us, and just a very slight vector to the east from us, and like I said, about, I don't know, 3,000 to 5,000 feet above.
United 612, roger. You can't really estimate the distance then?
Yeah, he's probably still about 10 to 15 miles away. Unless I knew the size of the plane, it's hard to tell.
Understand. Thank you. This guy was 3478, Seattle.
3478?
Yes, sir. Just going to give you a traffic call because there's kind of an unusual situation. Traffic potentially at your 1 o'clock, 12 to 1 o'clock and 40 miles opposite directions, estimated between 350 and 370. We're not working that aircraft, and there's two pilots have spotted it visually northbound between 350 and 370, approximately between Crater Lake or just west of Crater Lake area.
All right, we'll keep an eye out, Sky 3478.
This guy was 3478. Based on the last known position, potentially at your 1 to 2 o'clock and about 20 miles now.
3478. That's Southwest 4712. We still have a visual on it. We'll call it 130 or so, probably about 20 miles.
Southwest 4712, thank you.
Yeah, maybe 2 o'clock.
Guy West 3478, maybe at your 2 o'clock and about 10 to 15 miles now.
Yeah, I think I have it inside, Sky 3478.
Sky 3478, you said you do have them inside?
Yes.
Okay, and if you can, give me an estimate, either on a type aircraft or an altitude.
Looks about level with us. And I'm not able to see a type.
Okay, just white in color?
Yeah, I can't even see that. I'm looking at the sun at him.
Okay, thanks. That was 3478. Let me know when that has moved past you northbound, if it's still moving north.
We'll go.
So this UFO is out there, and it's in the middle of all this commercial traffic, and this poor air traffic controller is having to contact different pilots and see if they can locate this thing visibly, because it's not showing on the TCAS, and it's intermittently showing on the radar. This poor guy must be crapping his pants, and he's just hoping that this thing doesn't run into one of those planes up in his airspace. Watch what this crazy thing does next. Are you kidding me? Did that thing just jump a few miles in a few seconds? Wow. That thing's got to be really hauling ass to look like that on a radar screen. Poof, there he goes, he's gone again. When you consider the coordination required between all these different air traffic controllers and pilots, it's amazing that they're able to keep sight of this thing. But it does seem that they did lose track of it for a little bit, because we then get about 3 minutes of standard air traffic chatter and no sightings of the UFO, so I'm going to go ahead and compress time through that. And our little buddy is back. Check him out. I wonder how long he's going to be sticking around for this time. There he goes again.
We had the traffic until not too long ago, but we've lost contact with that traffic. And the last time we saw him, it was more 15 to 20 miles away.
Off your right side, you said?
Affirmative, at 2 o'clock.
Better? A little while ago he did, I guess. Hi.
Hi.
I have the primaries up right now. I'm just looking to see if there's anything. He said he saw him a little while ago.
Yep.
He doesn't see him now, and talk to the Whiskey 1.
Right.
Eyes are good over here.
Sounds good.
I said earlier that this has got to be frustrating for these flight traffic controllers because they don't know what this UFO is doing in their airspace. They don't even know what this thing is. And they have no idea if this thing is going to try to collide with or attack one of the planes that they're in charge of. In fact, they can't even say for sure that this thing is not a hostile aircraft with a bomb or some other kind of weapon. If it were, this thing has had more than enough time to drop its ordnance on just about any part of Oregon, including Portland. And that is downright terrifying to me. I lived there, damn it, and I like the town, besides the point. So don't level it, okay? Anyhow, I was able to determine by the post-event recordings that at about this time in the engagement, somebody from WADS, which is the Western Aerial Defense System, out of the Air National Guard in Washington, had contacted the Air Traffic Control Center. The people at WADS wanted to know what was going on with this UFO, and at some point decided to dispatch 2 F-15s out of the Bigfoot Squadron to intercept and investigate. Now, from what I understand, this is a pretty good thing because the guys in Bigfoot are the best of the best. If there's anything out there that doesn't belong, they're going to find it, and they're going to deal with it. Fast. So here we are, 20 minutes or more into this encounter, and finally the military has been notified, and they are en route to engage this UFO which has violated U.S. airspace and will not respond to any form of communication, and seems to exhibit some kind of stealth technology. I think the military should be on their way. Probably sooner than 20 minutes. But this poor air traffic controller got chewed for a good solid 8 minutes because dispatch of military personnel is required to go above their station. There's no reason that the military should have been delayed here for some bureaucratic BS. And I just want to say thank you to that ATC for actually talking to WADS and getting these planes in the air. Feel free to do it again. National defense should be a priority over bureaucracy, right? Err on the side of caution. Scramble those fighters.
Alaska 525, Seattle Center, descendant files discretion maintain flight level 380.
Discretion 380, that's 525.
Alaska 525, do you see any traffic at about your 1 to 2 o'clock proceeding northbound around flight level 36 or 370?
We do not currently, but we are looking for them.
Alaska 525, thanks. Descendant files discretion maintain flight level 240. Let me know if you see anything out there.
Discretion 240, Alaska 525. And Southwest 4712 just picked that traffic back up again at 2 o'clock, probably about 20 miles or so.
Southwest 4712, thank you. Can you give me an estimate about the altitude, maybe?
Yeah, I'll give you a better estimate here in just a minute as we descend. Good evening, it's Alaska 439 at 360.
Alaska 439, Seattle Center, rudder.
You see, that just proves my point, because Southwest 4712 just picked this UFO back up again, and he is descending into PDX. That means this thing is just headed north towards Vancouver, on up to Longview, who knows where it's going.
South 4712, we lost contact, but earlier when we were watching him, it's estimated 37,000 feet, but could possibly be 35 maybe.
Southwest 4712, thanks, and thank you. Southwest 4712, contact Seattle Center 125.8. Just let them know if you start to see anything, if you contact them again, please.
At 25 minutes, we'll let them know. 4712 tonight.
Unknown contact there at about 36,000 feet, but he's just going to keep an eye out for him in case he sees him again going northbound.
Alaska 525, speed heating 400.
Alaska 525, that traffic was last seen at about your 2 o'clock and 20 miles from your current position. The pilot estimated it somewhere between 35 and 37,000 feet.
Roger, thanks.
I gotta tell you guys, this is one of the most interesting UFO sightings that I've investigated in a long time, and not just because it happened right in my backyard. This UFO was tracked by 3 different air traffic controllers over a 45-minute period, and it was witnessed by a half a dozen pilots. That's just downright amazing. And we even have a little bit of sensor data from the radar systems, although it's kind of patchy because it comes and it goes. I'm really leaning towards a military explanation here, but I just don't understand why one of our military craft would risk the exposure to fly in such a heavily trafficked area. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And if it wasn't one of ours, whose was it? That's downright frightening.
Hey, Seattle, compass 6023 out of 22 for 230.
Compass 6023, Seattle Center, climb maintain flight level 310.
Flight level 310, compass 6023.
Compass 6023 at about your 10 o'clock and about 40 miles proceeding northbound. There was an aircraft reported somewhere between 35 and 37,000 feet. He's not talking to anybody, and I don't have any primary targets. Just keep an eye out, please.
Roger, we'll be both.
Compass 6023, just let me know if you see him. Again, he's proceeding northbound. He was estimated between 35 and 37,000 feet, and as soon as I have you clear of his last known area, I'll have higher.
And you said he was at 10 o'clock?
It was about your 10 o'clock and about 40 miles was his last reported position proceeding northbound, so probably somewhere between probably about 10 o'clock and about maybe 20 miles northbound.
All right, thank you. We'll keep an eye for him, and if we see him, we'll let you know.
Thank you. Hi.
CSAT, open it up.
SAS and minimums over there, special activity. He last reported him when he was back here at about his 10 o'clock, or actually about his 2 o'clock 20 miles, which would put him right in here. He was going to try to give me an estimate, but then he lost contact on his altitude, or lost contacted on him, so he said he was somewhere between 35 and 37,000 feet. So that's why I stopped him low, just to make sure in case he's descending or something like that. I pulled up the primaries just to see if we got any hits on him, but there's no primary targets on it. Aircraft are just reporting that they're seeing somebody out there. And possibly, actually, I think they're about to scramble, and everything else was good. That's all I got.
All right, Debbie.
Alaska 439, Senator.
Alaska 439, go ahead.
Alaska 439, just verify slot level 360.
We're level at 360, and previous controller did tell us about a stray out this way from our position.
Alaska 439, yes. Last reported position was at about your 9 o'clock and about 30 miles west of your position, proceeding northbound in the altitudes between somewhere 35 to 37,000 feet.
Okay, and it was only picked up visually then? You guys aren't seeing them?
Affirmative. I have my primary targets up, and there's no primary targets on it and no beacon code.
Okay, thank you.
Alaska 439, descender panel discretion maintain flight level 300. Again, his last reported altitude was between 35 and 37, so I guess I'd rather have you underneath him in case he is still flying around out there.
Okay, discretion of 300. We'll start down now, Alaska 439.
Thanks. Compass 6023, do you mind doing a TCAS check to see if you see any targets out there on your TCAS?
We'll do that. Compass 6023.
Thanks. Alaska 439, do you mind doing a TCAS check just to see if you see any targets out to your left?
Yeah, we don't see anybody out there right now.
That's 439, thank you.
And center compass 6023, we don't show anything. The only thing is somebody at 7 o'clock, 40 miles, 6,000 above us, but I think that's the Alaska.
Compass 6023, affirmative, that checks climb maintain flight level 350 now.
Climb 350, compass 6023.
Redwood 1755, would you mind looking at your TCAS and letting me know if you see anybody at about your 10 o'clock or so and about 30 miles? I have one Alaska that's descending out of 33.6 to 300, and let me know if you see anybody else.
No, we don't have anybody within 30 miles or even 50.
Thank you. Alaska 322, can you check your TCAS to see if you see anybody at about your 9 o'clock or so and about the next 50 miles? I do have one aircraft that's climbing out of 30.4 for 35, and just let me know if you see anybody else, please.
No, man, we've got nothing.
Alaska 322, thanks. Contact Seattle Center 135.15.
Yeah, Alaska 439.
Alaska 439, go.
Yeah, have you painted any primary radar on this guy, or what's the info?
The intel that we've had is we haven't seen any primary targets. We're just getting reports from pilots that are seeing him, and we don't have any beacon codes on him or anything like that. So basically, it's kind of like a stealth mode or something. Alaska 439, can you do one more check again, please? I've got a 737 leaving 14.5 climbing to 23 right now, and a couple fighters coming out southbound. Let me know if you see anything else from about your 9 o'clock to your 12 o'clock.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's right into the sun. We don't see anything on TCAS right now.
Thank you.
Is there any description of the guys or some of the people we saw?
As you could see in that last part, that air traffic controller was trying her hardest to locate that UFO so that she could give directions to the fighters that were inbound, because nobody out there, none of them knew where it was.
Seattle Center Operation.
Hi, my name is calling from the Quality Control Group. I understand someone was trying to speak to QC via the ROC earlier today.
Yeah, so I called just to give the ROC a little information about an unusual event that happened this evening, and I'm working on filling out the MOR. We had Oakland gave us a call about a Mochi intruder that they had in their airspace, that they were observing in their airspace right at our boundary. And then later called back and said, well, now it's going northbound at 37,000, and we had a Southwest flight that was observing it. So we tracked that airplane. Well, we didn't have him on radar. We weren't talking to him, but just through pilot reports, we were tracking this aircraft. We were in the communication with the den and then WADS, and then they end up scrambling fighters. But the aircraft that were observing the target at 37,000 started their descent for Portland prior to the fighters getting there, so we kind of lost sight of it.
So you said the aircraft has started a descent toward Portland. Do we know at this point who he is or what's going on?
No, I don't know if that traffic was descending for Portland. I'm saying the aircraft that we were in communication with, that had been observing the target, had to descend for Portland. So Where this guy ended up, we don't know.
Oh, so we still don't know.
No. The fighters scrambled. They went out looking around a little bit, but we lost anybody having sighted the aircraft.
Wow, that's weird.
It's really weird, yeah.
Did you guys get any information to indicate if it was a large carrier jet or something smaller? Or anything?
So the pilot that just called me back now from one that was observing it for probably 100 miles said it was a big jet. It was not some little small. He said it wasn't like a little Learjet or something like that. It was a pretty big jet, and it was going faster than they were. And this Southwest was, it was a Southwest 737 in the flight levels, and they're going 450 knots across the ground, and this thing was going faster than them. So, so we don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And really kind of weird. So.
Well, there you got it, folks. This is one crazy story, isn't it? First, Oakland picks up this UFO, and it's heading south, but it quickly changes direction and heads north again. And for the next half an hour, this thing's just playing cat and mouse with these air traffic controllers and these pilots. Sometimes the UFO is moving faster than the airplanes. Other times it seems to be moving slower, or it's moving parallel to them. And then there at the end, the thing just disappears somewhere over Portland or Vancouver, and everyone lost sight of it, which I find extremely difficult to believe because there is dozens of planes taking off and landing at PDX at this time. One of those people that were coming in or out of town should have been able to spot this thing again, but nobody could. It just disappeared. Now, PDX isn't the only airfield in the area. Both Troutdale and Hillsborough have airports that are just a few minutes nearby, so it is possible that this plane, or UFO, or whatever it was, landed at one of those airfields. And here's another possibility. I said earlier that I was leaning towards a military explanation in this sighting, and I think I still kinda am. Let's assume for a moment that this was some sort of top-secret military aircraft that was on a test mission. If that were the case, when the two F-15s from Bigfoot showed up, they most certainly would have got into contact with this thing. At that point, their only choice would be to return to base and report that they had found nothing officially, which is exactly what the official story reported. I mean, it's not like these F-15 pilots are going to come back and tell the air traffic controller and the Federal Aviation Administration that they found a Boeing X-47B flying around the flight lanes, are they? Of course not. So if that was a secret test plane, you can honestly expect the military to cover the story up. But then again, maybe they are being truthful, and maybe those F-15s showed up and actually found nothing. It's all just crazy. It's like somebody was testing something out, or they were intentionally messing with us. I just don't know. What do you guys think happened in the skies over Oregon back in 2017? Let me know in the comments section below. While you're down there, check out the links for some of the resources for this video. The Warzone has followed this story from day one and has done a great job of updating it with information as time goes on. So head on over and give that article a read. Well guys, for now, that's all I got on that crazy UFO sighted back in 2017 over Oregon. I'll catch you on the flip side. As always, this has been Manny at Area 503. And I wish you all the best until we meet again. And I am out of here to continue my search for universal truth.